Time to get back into the E46, and we've got a nice little upgrade today that's going to save us a headache in the future. Thanks to CMP Auto Engineering, we're going to be replacing the steering column coupler. Normally rubber, now it's going to be billet. So let's jump in, we'll have a chat about the company and have a chat about the part, and then we're going to go through and install it. CMP Auto Engineering are an Australian company. They've been working with the E46 platform for a long time now, and they have a whole array of parts to make this chassis a lot better. Rear subframe reinforcements, front subframe reinforcements. You've got weld-in and bolt-in plates in the back to make everything a lot more rigid, because this chassis does have weak points that they are actually fixing. Another part is this, the billet steering column coupler. Now, CMP Auto Engineering have jumped on to get involved with this build, which is amazing, and I'm super appreciative. So if you want any of the parts that we talk about in this video or future videos, please jump in the description and there will be a link to their website and you'll be able to buy all the parts that I'm talking about. Hence the reason we're going to show you how to install this one. Comes with instructions, but I'll show you how to do it. Now, in the engine bay, initially we have this here. I'm going to put that down because it's going to annoy you guys. Okay, so in the engine bay, we have this, which is actually a rubber coupler. You can see how it's not tinging? It's not tinging at all, right? So what we have to do is undo this bolt here and this bolt here and pull this out. And then we're gonna have to go through and drill some bits out, things like that, file it down, etc., etc. I'll show you how to do it, but that is what we're doing today. So the reason I wanna be doing this is that's rubber. This car normally doesn't have a turbo. This is gonna have a turbo sitting right here, right? So it's gonna heat up a lot more than just a normal exhaust manifold. Heat up, cool down, etc., all that kind of stuff. Not the greatest thing for rubber. So obviously replacing that with a big chunk of metal is going to be a lot better. This job is probably going to be a headache for anyone that has the engine in. Well, more of a headache than having the engine out. So it's going to be a lot easier for me. So I'm going to do it now before we drop the engine in for the final time. Okay, so first you're going to make some markings, make sure it goes back in the way it came out. Now, I've made some markings. It's black permanent marker on black paint. So you guys can't see it, but the naked eye, you can see it. I just don't want it to be like white marks everywhere because obviously I've already painted it. You will need to make those, and then a T10 Torx bit to take that one out and that one out, slide it out of the way, and then we'll go over to the bench and start pulling it apart. All right, next step is gonna have to drill out with a 10 mil, these two and these two. I'm gonna make sure that obviously the orientation stays the way it was, but drill them out and then we'll come back. All right, so once you've drilled off the tops, look, I used a grinder and a cutting wheel, ignore that. It was a drill, okay? Now look, I don't have a vise, so I'm just doing this cowboy. So don't do as I do as I say, all right? So you gotta get the tops off of those, so that can now disconnect, but there is a circlip in the middle here. So you gotta get a picking tool, pick that out, and then you should be able to slide them apart. So I'll do that off camera and I'll show you the result. All right, so rubber's out, as you can see. Now what we need to do is just file this surface so it's dead flat with the actual coupler, and the same on this, but this one actually, to be honest, is very, very flat, so I don't think I have to do anything on that one. I'll check it, make sure it's not, just a little bit out, and then essentially we'll pop it back in, loosely put the bolts in, put the circlip back in, and then torque everything up. So let's just quickly do that, and I'll come back to you with a final piece. Quick side note for you boys, just found out that these holes are not 10 mil holes, okay? So they're like slightly below, so your nuts and bolts will not fit through, so you have to get that 10 mil and drill them out. So that 10 mil drill bit that we used earlier to essentially get these studs out, these ones, you just gotta follow them through and then everything will line up perfectly. The other thing you need to do is just see right there how it's curved. You wanna make that a right angle so that when you actually tighten your nut down, it will sit nice and flat perfectly instead of slightly up on an edge. So not a lot of filing, but just a little bit out in these corners, just so that that can sit perfectly. So as you can see, this is all nicely put together. This is the coupler as it should be orientation wise. These are all loose. Just want to make sure that they all sat nice and flat. All the mating surfaces were nice and flat and how they should be. Now I'm going to go through and torque all these up to 40 Newton meters, and then we'll go through, put these back in and tighten these ones up to 22 Newton meters. So I'll tighten this up and then we'll go chuck it back in. And I will check this one up here as well, because I did pull this whole thing out before if you remember when we first test fit the engine to make sure it would fit with those engine brackets, and it does. So that is our solid steering column bush install done. So I'm going to go over the instructions, the steps, which you will get when you buy this, because all of y'all are going to go buy this because it actually looks great. I'm going to have a bit more response with my steering, and I'm not going to have to worry about that rubber joint ever melting or, you know, just degrading near the turbo. So step 1, locate it. Step 2, mark the ends. Step 3, undo the Torx bits, which is pretty simple. Step 4, place in a vise to drill out the rivets. Now, I didn't do that. That's why mine took me about 2 hours. Yours will take you about 1 hour. I probably spent about an hour just trying to hammer those rivets out because they are quite, you know, they're quite stuck in there. But if you've got it in a vise, you'll literally just tap it out. Easy job. Then using a picking tool, remove the circlip, which I did put that back in. I don't think I showed you guys, but it is back in 100%. Separate the two halves. File the mating faces. Faces? Tell me you're tired of that, tell me you're tired. All right, file the two faces to make sure that it fits in nice and secure the way that one does. Loosely bolt the two halves together in the correct orientation that you marked. Check that the hex nuts are not sitting on an angle. So that was what I was telling you about, that little like corner that you file out. That's to make sure that your hex nut is nice and flat. It's not sitting on an angle, because obviously then the clamping force isn't going to be as good. So make sure you do that. So reassemble the coupler and torque the provided bolts to 14 Newton meters. They're also what are they called, nylocks. So as much as it's going to be torqued correctly, they're nylocks, so they're not going to just come undone, which is great. It's like really good to see that they've actually supplied, you know, quality fittings as well as the quality product. So that's awesome. I'm really stoked with this. Then reassemble and torque the Torx bolts to 22 Newton meters and ensure that the steering wheel is upright and wheels are straight, obviously, before you do that, or before and after the whole job, and the job's done. Now, I don't need that one anymore. I'm actually going to keep that. I was just being dramatic. But I wanted you guys to know that I have reached out to CMP. They didn't reach out to me saying, oh, can you just push our products, anything like that at all. I went and purchased their products for the rear end subframe reinforcement, and I loved the instructions. I love the quality of the plates, everything. I'm halfway through that job and I could see how everything kind of lined up, and I was like, this is a good company. Then I reached out to Kane and said, hey, would you like to work with me? I've got your, you know, rear subframe stuff. I've been actually, one of you guys, one of the subscribers said, hey, while you got the engine out, you should definitely get this because I've got one and it's awesome. So I reached out and said, you know, do you guys want to work together? And he said yes, and it was great. And I'm going to be honest with you, the amount of information back and forth between myself and Kane, a lot coming from him, has been incredible. He's been giving me spring rates for coilovers. He's been giving me advice for more rear end support and reinforcement, things like that he has done personally to his own E46, which he runs. And it's just great to have that kind of knowledge. He's 100% got a passion for this, and I love working with people that make good products and have a passion for the projects, because if you've just got someone that's like, oh yeah, here you go, here's your parts or whatever, it just kills it, right? But these guys are just top notch. I cannot be happier with the products and their service. So guys, link is in the description. They've got a whole slew of parts. It's not just E46, it's E36, and there's a whole bunch of other chassis as far as I'm aware on their website. They get the stuff out fast, top quality, and I'm just really happy to be working with another company that just, you know, they can stand by what they make because they make good stuff. So guys, that is that install done. I'm stoked that's in. We do have more videos coming from CMP, you know, their parts. We've got rear subframe, we've got front subframe, and then once the car's running, we're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff behind the back seat and in the boot, which is going to be sick. So stay tuned for that. If you want to see that stuff and you want to see more of this build, other builds, future builds, please like, please comment, and please subscribe. Today, while I'm recording this, we are 10 subscribers away from 3,000, and I cannot wait to get there because it's another milestone, and I'm very excited for this channel to grow with you guys, with these companies, and it's just a lot of fun for me to reach out and see you guys, see the companies, and all just work together harmoniously in this scene. So guys, thank you for coming along. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one. See you guys.